Yes!
Anthem. The demo is finally here and available to play by anybody with VIP access, and I personally have been having an absolute blast playing this demo. However, I've never been the type of person to assume that a game will be amazing in the full release solely due to the fact that the demo or beta is enjoyable. As long as I've been gaming, I've seen more than my fair share of nonsense happen with the gaming industry, and when it comes to brand new IPs, I'll always be skeptical like a lot of people would be. But realistically speaking, I do believe that Anthem will perform just fine due to being delayed an entire year or so, hopefully to get its act together, alongside a lot of reassuring things that BioWare has been saying that they plan on doing with the game. So without further ado, let's go. The whole point of playing a video game is to be entertained. If a video game isn't entertaining and or lacking in content, it isn't fulfilling its purpose as a video game. Providing players with enough to do is literally the most bare minimal requirement that a video game is expected to perform. But you'd be surprised at how many games are too inept at performing this. Consumers don't buy things for no reason, and when you spend your money on something, the expectation is that you'll be getting your money's worth. Okay, I think I overkilled this dead horse, but seriously, the first thing a game needs to succeed is providing enough content for the players to sink their teeth into. From what I've researched, Anthem is a PvE only open world cooperative looter shooter, so the bar is set even higher than it would be for a run-of-the-mill shooter game like Call of Duty or Fortnite. I realize that game design is difficult, especially when it comes to creating content over the lifespan of a game, but all Anthem really has to do is release small, free updates and live events over time to keep the fan base engaged and occupied long enough to start releasing paid DLC. Look at Monster Hunter World, for example. That game became one of, if not the fastest selling Capcom games ever released, solely based off of how well of a job Capcom did with capturing the interest of fans and potential fans. Before Monster Hunter World was released, all I kept hearing is that the game wouldn't have a season pass, microtransactions, which is another topic we'll discuss later on in the video, and as of presently, the game has been out for an entire year, and its first paid DLC isn't releasing for several months from now. And that, in my opinion, is a standard set for games of every genre. I've been dedicating a huge chunk of my time trying to find out if Anthem will have paid DLC, and if it will, when in the world will it release, and I have yet to find anything relevant to that, which is amazing because if you look back in time and think about all of the games that release season passes and DLCs within the first 3 to 6 months of the game's lifespan, more often than not, these DLCs are terrible and people end up finding out that it was cut content. Take Destiny 2 for example. The Curse of Osiris and Warmind DLCs released within the first half year of Destiny 2's lifespan and did nothing to fix the ongoing problems that plagued vanilla Destiny 2. Why? Because they were cut from the main game and sold as DLCs to generate more revenue from the game, and due to the fact that they were cut content, they were only able to perform as well as Destiny 2 vanilla did. So these DLCs weren't going to be able to do anything better than Destiny 2 did in its vanilla state. Anthem, being a game with no paid DLC or a season pass on its roadmap, is free of that stigma and has successfully avoided the expectation that the base and or vanilla version of the game will be watered down and later fixed by DLCs. And that right there is exactly what both Destiny games did. Instead of utilizing DLCs and expansions as literal extensions of the game, which is exactly what they're expected and supposed to be, most, if not all, the DLCs in both Destiny games fulfilled more of a janitorial role in the sense that they took more of a fixing things up route instead of enhancing the entertainment experience of the game like they were expected to do. Once again, if Anthem provides players with a consistent, steady flow of content to keep the players engaged, the game itself will be just fine. BioWare seems to realize that asking consumers to pay for more than the base game is entirely too much to ask for, especially due to this title being a brand new IP. And just because you're paying for DLC doesn't guarantee that the DLC itself will be good. I can safely state that we've seen too many examples of this, and in my experience, it's incredibly rare to pay for an expansion and feel that it was worth every penny that I spent on it. Keeping the fan base within the loop of information is expected from every company in the video game industry, but very few companies actually follow this doctrine. No, I'm not saying that every video game developer needs to spill the beans on every move that they're making with their games, but keeping the fan base informed about future updates, the direction of the game, and building a relationship with the fan base / community builds a sense of solace that makes people feel that they're cared for and will be taken care of as players of the game. And at this point in time, I feel that this is mandatory. I'm not sure how BioWare and EA plan on handling this, but I would suggest that they assemble a team to specifically deal with the community and stays engaged with the community through social media, websites like Reddit and or Anthem's own official website, if such a thing is ever going to exist. And if it ever does exist, it would be great if it had forums and a method for the community to get together and talk to one another so that everybody is on the same playing field. All in all, as players of a game, we want to know what's going on, and if there are problems persisting in the game, we want to know when they'll be fixed. I, for one, want to know as much as I'm allowed to if I'm paying for a game, especially a new IP that has everything to prove. As stated previously, Anthem doesn't have any plans of releasing paid DLC anytime soon. BioWare stated that they don't want to divide the fan base because if, say for example, if Anthem did have paid DLC, the part of the fan base that didn't pay for it wouldn't be able to game with those who did. Even if there was some sort of workaround that enabled the DLC owners and the non-DLC owners to be able to game together, there would still be activities that the non-DLC owners couldn't access. So BioWare decided to take the route of placing everybody on the same playing field. If you and I both own Anthem, rest assured that we'll be able to access the same exact activities. I spoke about Monster Hunter World earlier and how the game has been out for over a year and has never had any paid DLC. And I 100% love and respect that particular decision that Capcom made. It seems that Capcom's goal was to appeal to a wider audience and bring new fans into the Monster Hunter series by assuring newcomers and veterans that their goal was to provide fans with a quality entertainment experience alongside building a foundation of trust. Now that Monster Hunter World has been out for quite some time and has performed exceptionally well, that gave Capcom the right to release paid DLC. Capcom was patient. They paid attention to the progress of their game and waited until the time was right to announce that their game was going to finally have its first paid DLC. And guess what? Nobody had a problem with it because Monster Hunter World would have been out for over a year and a half by the time its first paid DLC comes out. Which means that the rumor that most, if not all, DLC is content cut from the base game can't possibly apply to Monster Hunter World, and I can really see Anthem taking the same exact route. All BioWare has to do is be patient, build a fan base for Anthem, a fan base that feels that they can trust BioWare, then announce the first paid DLC a year or so after Anthem has been out. Piggybacking off of the previous topic, it's been proven that if a game isn't maintained well, it'll eventually become so over-encumbered with problems that it'll be a chore to play. And this will be worsened if the game is performing terribly to begin with. Think about it. Who wants to play a poorly performing game that also has game-breaking glitches and bugs? I'm saying this because Anthem's demo release was one of the worst ones that I've ever seen due to how many people couldn't even play the demo on release day. Not to mention the frequent infinite loading screens and how often the demo has crashed, forcing people to restart the entire demo in order to play it. The problems that people are having with Anthem's demo is dispersing a blanket of skepticism across the video game player populace, which means that the full release of Anthem has to be absolutely pristine so that none of the stigma from the demo transfers into the full game. Don't take the word pristine too literally, because I personally realize that nothing man-made will be perfect, but if BioWare demonstrates consistent acknowledgement of whatever problems their game might have before the community has to speak up about it, that'll show us that BioWare is on top of their game and are doing their job. I'm personally not used to this as a Destiny player because Bungie never shows any awareness of the problems with their game until the community says something about it first. And when Bungie finally does acknowledge problems with their game, we don't see a patch until months later, and sometimes the patch is lumped together with a DLC release. That's one of my biggest gripes with Bungie, and I hope it's a decision that BioWare never makes. And as a gamer, all I ask is that the companies responsible for creating and maintaining the games that I play to identify and take care of the game's shortcomings on a frequent basis, not every 6 months or so. It's been confirmed that microtransactions will be in Anthem, purchased from something known as the dynamic store. Now, I'll never agree with microtransactions, but I feel that if Anthem's dynamic store isn't predatory and only offers simple cosmetics like BioWare stated, then it won't really be an issue at all. I just don't want Anthem to fixate on its microtransactions too much since the game won't have any paid DLC for a while, and I wouldn't want microtransactions to have so much of a presence in the game that BioWare utilizes the dynamic store as a method to suffice suffice for the fact that they won't be making any extra money from downloadable content. I can't speak too much about this dynamic store since I don't know what direction it'll take, but if BioWare really wants fans to trust them, they'll need to be very vocal about the endeavors of the dynamic store. Alright everybody, I'm gonna put the nail in the coffin on this one. If you made it to the end and enjoyed this video, do me a favor and backhand slap that like button and follow up with an uppercut to that subscribe button if you're new to my neck of the woods and if you want to see some more elite gaming content. But with that being stated, 1LHD is over and out. Y'all take it easy.
Yes!